Hello everyone and welcome back to the channel. We have a massive rumor that's going on with XRP and Ripple, and if this does go through, it would be huge. And we'll talk about why it would be so big in just a little bit. And also you can see that the market is starting to show some signs of pullback. We did get some good news that happened to be with the United States and Iran. It looks like things have cooled down there. Not necessarily a great deal, but the fact that the whole conflict between them looks like it's subsiding is a good direction in of itself, at least. Now we can go ahead and move on with Bitcoin. Then I want to get into that big news for XRP Ripple. So starting off with Bitcoin's Fear and Greed Index, we're sitting at 23. This is in the extreme fear territory. I would suspect that this might actually pull back a little bit given the fact that we're starting to see some price drops taking place on the crypto market. But yes, at 23, almost in the fear territory, still in extreme fear, but we've got a little bit ways to go on the upside there. Now, looking at Bitcoin's price, we have seen it actually green for a bit on the day, nearly at $67,000. Since then, it has pulled back, and all the gains that took place yesterday have now been wiped out. So Bitcoin is down over 1% and is sitting at $65,600. It did drop down a little bit lower here to $65,300. That looks to be a bottom point. We did have a bounce that took place yesterday as well as today. So definitely you want to keep an eye on that point at $65,300. And right now, with $65,600, only a few $100s away from that price point. And as I mentioned before, we do have a nice set of dates that have closed out above the Fibonacci retracement zone of $63,200, suggesting a possible stronger trend formation, continuation of prices going up. Again, of prices going up. Now the Bollinger Band, the median line, we essentially bounced off of that yesterday for the day here. We had initially started off at that point, dropped down below. It's below the VWAP itself, so looking a bit bearish for today for Bitcoin. The volume yesterday, fairly nice, but nothing super remarkable. You're going to notice later on with XRP that it was absolutely remarkable, very big. And as far as for the volume today, we're on track to potentially passing the volume for yesterday. Now, a lot of people are on edge because of the next major bit of news, which has to do with Japan. The last note I want to say with Bitcoin is that we did have an indicator back on June 14th of an entry for a long position. So yes, the next day did pull up, but we've again since seen those gains just essentially get wiped out and actually be even more in the negative from what happened yesterday. Now let's go ahead and move on to major news. The Bank of Japan officially hikes interest rates to the highest level since 1995 amid rising inflation. Now, why this is so important is because his right. So we have not had a great position of, excuse me, I actually meant the stock markets have historically not done well when we saw this major change. And it is a 0.25% increase in their interest level, going from 0.75 to 1%. A lot of people have been on edge about this, suggesting that we could end up seeing drops take place in the market. So you and moving on. Speculation is heating up that BlackRock could be preparing an XRP ETF. Again, this is a major rumor, but if it is true, it's going to be very big. So I've got a couple things to talk about with this. BlackRock XRP ETF speculation heats up. Digital Ascension Group chairman Jake Claver says a BlackRock XRP ETF could be on the horizon as institutional adoption of the XRP ledger grows, per reporter Rachel Wolfson. Claver points to rising interest in XRP-based payment and settlement solutions. He believes stronger network usage could pave the way for additional investment products tied to XRP. Now, here's a nice breakdown from Ripple Zaidi over on Twitter. I recommend you guys go check him out if you're not already following him there. And Ripple Zaidi says, no, what a BlackRock XRP ETF would actually mean. BlackRock is the world's largest asset manager with over $11 trillion in assets under management. BlackRock's iShares Bitcoin Trust, or IBIT, became one of the fastest growing ETFs in history, crossing $50 billion in assets faster than any ETF ever. BlackRock's Ethereum ETF quickly became the market leader, proving its distribution power extends beyond Bitcoin. A BlackRock XRP ETF would give pension funds, insurance companies, endowments, and registered investment advisors regulated exposure to XRP without holding the asset directly. Standard Chartered projects Standard Chartered projects $4 to $4 billion to $8 billion in inflows for XRP ETFs in their first year. Not $4, $4 billion to $8 billion in inflows. BlackRock has filed over 600 ETF applications and received only one rejection in its entire history. 6 XRP ETFs are already live. Franklin Templeton, Canary, Bitwise, Grayscale, 21 Shares, Rex Osprey, holding roughly $1 billion combined. A BlackRock entry would be the single largest credibility stamp in XRP's history. With the Ripple SEC case resolved and XRP confirmed as a non-security on secondary markets, the biggest regulatory barrier to a filing is gone. And the disclaimer here, as of now, BlackRock has not filed for a spot XRP ETF. This image that they're showing, they're saying it's just an AI-generated image. So yeah, don't give any credibility to the image itself. But the context of this is huge. And now moving on. Investors are buying altcoin spot ETFs, Bitcoin spot ETFs. You're looking at negative 64 million. But then when we look at Ethereum, that's a positive 22.5 million. XRP 2.82 million. Solana 2.81 million. And Hype $17.19 million. There is a crypto exchange called BTCC. If you have not heard of it, it has been around for 13 years. So where have you been? And you also get access to over 300 crypto futures, up to 250x leverage, and there's no VPN or KYC required to get started. And if you use my referral link in the description down below, you can get a 10% deposit bonus. That's if you deposit over $500 of USDT, and there's extra bonuses up to $10,055 per user. If you guys want to look into this more, or if you want to get started, you can find my referral link down in the description below. And in additional news, RLUSD, the stablecoin from Ripple, it dethrones USDT in Europe as MiCA rules push Tether off licensed exchanges. And with everything that's going on between the United States and Iran, we're seeing oil prices drop below $78 a barrel as markets price in the US-Iran peace deal. So that's good news. The X402 Foundation, AWS, Coinbase, American Express, Circle, Cloudflare, and Google. Now, XRPL just plugged into that same rail T54 added XRP Ledger as a supported chain, letting AI agents pay in XRP or RLUSD for APIs, inference, and compute. Big names, clear signal. So Law Day 329 from Chad Steingraber. Coinbase and Amazon AWS begins accepting AI agents as customers via the X402. XRP and RLUSD are integrated into X402 AI agent payments. Pay and get paid via X402. Thanks to a contribution from our partners at T54, XRPL is now a supported chain in the X402 protocol. XRPL agents can transact for API calls, AI model inference, and other services using XRP or RLUSD on day one. And Ripple invests in Flutterwave's Series E funding round. And from VET, they're saying today's a good day. There's good things we're hearing. Price is pulled back. That part's a little bit of a bummer. But XRP Ledger 3.2.0 is now out. Huge milestone. Ripple name transition to XRPLD. Only one amendment bundling fixes and improvements. More than 40 XRP core developers worked on it with 9 new community member contributions. XRP social sentiment has hit its weakest reading since October 2025, a level that has historically preceded the token's strongest rebounds, and that's per sentiment, historically. Now we take a quick look at what's going on with XRP's price, and as you guys can see here, that we are not anywhere near the amount of volume that took place yesterday. Huge amount of volume. There was a huge price rise up to $1.29. And on the new day, we're seeing a pretty significant price drop in XRP. It's about half of that body candle from yesterday. But you also need to keep in mind that the level of volume is nowhere near as much. So it looks like there was a lot of activity, a lot of buying pressure. Then there was also a bit of selling pressure that dropped it back down. And then we settled out nicely in the green. But on the new day of the activity that we do have, it looks like it's definitely leaning a bit more on the sell side. So not a lot of buying pressure coming in. We did see Bitcoin, as I just showed you guys, it's also having a bit of a drop here. But Bitcoin's position is worse. It already took out everything for gains yesterday. With XRP, we are about half. I'd say maybe even just a little bit less than half. It's pretty close to half of the candle from yesterday. There was an indicator yesterday suggesting an entry of a long position. We are right above the median line of the Bollinger Band currently. So I would be looking at potentially a bounce at $1.20. We can even see that bottom wick for the day is lined up pretty well with that. So keep an eye on 120. And if this decides that it wants to drop further down, you've got, of course, 110 as another indicator, another key level, 103 at the bottom of the Bollinger Band, and then $1. If it climbs up, we're looking at $1.25. We're looking at trying to break above $1.29 from yesterday, hitting $1.30 specifically, and then trying to get all the way back up to $1.37, $1.40. All right, that's what I got for you guys in today's video. Don't forget to hit subscribe if you're new. And thank you so much to those of you that are supporting me on Patreon. I'm Crypto Atlas over there. And those of you that support me on YouTube as members. I appreciate you guys. Be safe. God bless. We'll see you in the next video. Peace.